Hi, this is Carrie Jeske, and I'm so happy to get to speak with you, inventors, innovators, business people of South Africa. You have a place in my heart. My son is actually living in Kenya now, and I do hope to come and visit you live. I'm sorry I couldn't be there in first person right now, but I will be available at the end of this presentation. I'm going to call in, God willing, and answer your questions. So please take notes. If there's certain slides that you'd like me to go more in depth into, make a note of that. And when I call in, we'll go back to those slides and talk a little bit more in depth about it. I'm going to try to make sure I keep this to about 30 minutes so I can be sure that I'm available for questions. What I want to talk about with you is the business side of inventing. There are a lot of people out there that are service providers and they have services worthy of buying at the right time and the right place. But there's also a lot of ways that inventors can spend a lot of money doing the right thing at the wrong time or the wrong thing at the right time. And I'll say more about that. But first, I'm just going to share a little bit with you about myself. I've been in this business for almost 30 years now. So I've been on both sides of the table. I've worked on projects on my own, inventions of my own, and I've also been on the other side where I've represented companies and large players looking at products submitted to us from the inventor community and then working to try to test those products and make money on those products from the company side. So I feel like I've got a pretty well-rounded view of the whole process. And what I have come to believe is most important is what I call low cost, high return inventing. And that's what I'm going to talk about today. If you want to connect with me more, also, I do my own social networking on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. Those are the three primary places I'm at. Please connect on my Inventive Ideas company pages there, and then talk to me there, and we'll get to know each other better. So a little bit about my background. I started, like I said, back in 2000 was our first product. Prior to that, I'd been president of a technology company, and I came up through sales and marketing. So I had a good bulk of time working in sales and marketing, and I really thought I could be able to launch a product pretty easily. My husband and I, who've been married 36 years now, we went out, we got some small business investors, mostly friends and family, raised a couple $100,000. He went to China, and we made this first product called Sport Shade. And, you know, it was a success in a lot of ways. And from the outside, it looked like more of a success than it was. We were in Cabela's, we got in Sports Authority, I got us in Sam's Club and Costco. We did licensing agreements with Budweiser, Coke, Coors Light. So the sales were good. But what I realized is the better we did, the more product we sold, the more cash we needed to sustain it, because you've got to buy inventory. And so the problem became one of cash flow. And this is something I talk a lot to inventors about, because you have to put out cash to buy your product or to get your patent or to do these things. And then when you actually make the product and you sell it into a big store, they may take 30 to 60 to 90 to 120 days before you're actually paid back. So that can be a huge cash flow drain. And so the more you sell, the bigger number that cash is. And then if you think about how you've got to pay your manufacturer in China or wherever, half up front and half upon delivery usually. So it could be a 6-month time frame that you have to float cash. And then what happens with retailers, sometimes they'll send you an invoice or pay the invoice for the money they owe you, but they'll do what's called chargebacks, and they'll send you little dings because you didn't put the barcode at the exact right spot on the box. And so it becomes difficult to make money sometimes if you're not aware of these pitfalls. If you are aware of them, then you know not to sacrifice your margin too much, and you make better business decisions in order to sustain that. And that's what big companies have learned. But when you're an independent inventor, a small person, you don't know all of that right away. And so I'm here to kind of show you and highlight some of those struggles so that you can be successful. The nice thing about trying to invent in today's world is it's a very tiny planet. You can get anywhere, anytime to anyone. You can have company directories on LinkedIn, tons of resources, information. And I want to just do a shout out to Celeste, because She is working very diligently for your group. I did, if you go down my bio, you'll see that Inventors Center, Kansas City, I did that from 2004 to 2012. I basically did her job. And let me tell you, if you're around her, you know how much effort and energy she puts into it. She's trying to connect with all the right people for you. And I want you to shout out a thank you to her right now. If you just unmute yourself, shout out a thank you to her. Thank you. Now mute yourself again. And help her. Whatever she needs, please help her so that she can continue to grow your organization and you continue to connect manufacturers in South Africa and around the world, and also business people, innovators. Look in your own network and reach out, because if you can help your group grow, that will make all of you successful. And so one of the things that happened to me early on is I was starting to feel these cash flow struggles with the Sport Shade product. And then I joined the Inventors Center, Kansas City, and eventually became one of the leaders of it and helped to grow it. And I've met all the right people and realized there was another way of doing business that I was unaware of. And so that is my point with telling you this. You can look at me up online, but some of the projects that I've been successful with, and when I say successful, it means I've made some money. I've made more money than I've spent. In some cases, a lot more money. And the products that are not up here are the many zillion products that I've tried and been a part of that have not made money. So just to see it candidly from both sides, not all products make money. And they don't make money for businesses. They don't make money for inventors. They don't make money for anyone. And they're good products. And we'll say more about that later. But the ones that do make money, I consider it a success if you make more money than you spent. So just to be also candid, well, I'm not going to tell you about, I'll talk about the money in a minute. Sorry for that. I apologize. All right. As seen on TV products, I want to talk about this category a little bit, because this is the quickest way that inventors can make money on a product idea without having to have a patent. In my experience of 30 years, it's the only category that you can make money on without a patent. Virtually any other distribution channel or manufacturing process does require a patent because you need something proprietary. And normally that is because those channels move very, very slowly. I think of them as moving kind of almost at a snail's pace in some ways, whereas this category, as seen on TV, makes more money faster than any other category. Now, a lot of people think as seen on TV is a company. It's not. It's a section of shelves in a retail store. So you've got hardware, you got sporting goods, you got grocery. As seen on TV, at one time it was a section. Now that is changing. The industry is changing very fast. It's catching up with online retailing finally, actually at the tail end, I would think. But in any case, this is a category where the products need to be physically small. They need to be able to be shipped direct to consumers, so they can't be very heavy and big and cumbersome. They need to have a retail price point of somewhere around $50, give or take. You could push it up to $100 in some cases, but not a lot over that. And you definitely have to have a really good prototype, and you need to learn how to make a demo video. And these are two things I'll talk about more in a minute, but this is some skill that inventors need to have in today's day and age. You need to be able to make a concept prototype, and you need to learn a video editing software, or find a partner or a friend or a colleague that can help you make a demo video so that you can show your product idea to somebody that can help take it further. I'll say a little bit more about that. And if you look at the inventiveideas.com website on the blog section, the very first blog is how to make a good demo video. And that's worth reading. There's a script there and everything. This as seen on TV category does make really good product focused videos for a minute or 2 minutes of time. So if you want to get good at seeing how professionals do it, just Google as seen on TV, comma, beauty product, as seen on TV, comma, hardware product. Whatever it is your category is in for the idea or invention that you've got, start looking at what as seen on TV products were done in that category, and notice the style of the demo video that you see and copy it, model it for your own demo video so that you can get people interested in your product. And they'll be interested when they think it's really a viable idea that's going to solve a problem and when they think it's something that's going to make money. So these are some of the products I've been involved with in the As Seen on TV product. You can look at this later, research them how you want. But these are all like multi-million-dollar winners that did well, that I got to have a behind the scenes look at and be a part of that distribution process. So that's been very exciting for me. I can't hear your experience. Normally at this section, I'd want to know who my audience is so I could tailor that. So I'm just going to trust that you're people interested in innovation and making money, and let's just move forward on those thoughts, right? So I am doing this as a business. I am a philanthropist, but I am in this inventing industry to make money. And most people that are speaking at groups are in it to make money in some way. So I'm just going to say that right off the bat. I have not more to say about that later. But right now, I want you to think about the 3 ways that you can make money with a product idea. One is to license the patent or the product rights to another company. In that case, you're going to make your demo video, you're going to make a prototype, and you're going to get a third party, a company like an As Seen on TV company or a manufacturer, to invest their time and money to manufacture those goods and to sell those goods. And they're going to pay you a royalty, a percentage of wholesale generally. So you're not going to make as much money in the big picture on it, but you're not going to spend as much money either. So that's the advantage of that. You don't have a lot of risk and your reward is not as great, but your reward can still be pretty darn good. Even in the worst case scenario, well, worst case scenario is you make nothing, but a normal case scenario is, let's say that you make 10 or 20 or 30,000 a year in royalties for a period of time. Not so bad. 10 or 20,000 a year is a nice little part-time job. If you can get lucky and make a medium amount, or maybe making 50,000 a year, 100,000 a year, 120,000 a year, even better. If you get super lucky, super blessed, and you hit a big multi-million-dollar winner, then you're off to the races. Congratulations. So that's what I'm talking about when I talk about licensing, is making money on someone else doing all the work. Venturing would be the next way to make money, and that is very common nowadays. You can go and get your product manufactured. You can buy, I call it a garage full of them, or in South Africa, I don't know if you have garages or not, but a warehouse full, possibly. And you're basically going to sell them online to yourself. You're going to sell them online yourself. You can use Amazon, online events, other business-to-business sales methods to sell the product. And then acquisition. And this would come after you did venturing, you have a business worth buying, or you have a patent that is so valuable that someone might want to acquire it. A big company just might be willing to do that. And that's where they're going to give you money up front. Generally, that's all they're going to want to do. It's going to be a bigger amount, but they're not going to want to pay you royalties. I suggest that you wouldn't want to take that kind of a deal. I think that you can get a big amount up front and get some royalties for the life of the patent. Now, a lot of people claim you can get them for the life of the product as long as it sells. I have not found that to be something that's that doable in my experience. If someone else has done that, that's great for them. I do try to do that on every single deal. I just haven't been able to do that. But I have been very successful at getting a lump sum of money up front and then a residual royalty for the life of the patent. So that would be an acquisition. Those are the 3 ways you can make money inventing. Now, here's what a lot of people do. And unfortunately, a lot of people, by the time I talk to them, they've already blown $40,000 to $130,000 doing the right things in the wrong order. So most people, they're afraid their idea is going to be stolen. So what do they do first? They go out and get a patent. You can file the provisional yourself for a couple $100. You can get an attorney for $1,200, maybe a utility for $40,000 or so. And they feel they're protected then. So they have that expense. The sad thing about that is that 90% of patents issued to independent inventors never return even a dime to the inventor, 90%. Now that's an alarmingly high statistic. So I think that is not the best place to put your money initially, in my opinion. Now, I also want to give the disclaimer, I'm not an attorney. I don't pretend to be one even in real life, but I do have a lot of experience with patents and with making money on them. So I'm going to give you advice from that perspective. The other thing people do is they go public really fast. Like a lot of people go on crowdfunding sites, Kickstarter, Indiegogo. For a while, those sites were wildly popular, and almost all those people were being knocked off by overseas competition, ruthless manufacturers, anybody that could see that product idea that was being funded really well and get to market ahead of them because they have manufacturing and distribution. And good luck fighting them. It's very difficult to fight cross country in particular, even in the same country. It's difficult when you have to go get a lawyer and go that route. It's a tough road to hoe. And so I don't want to fight those battles. So that's why I don't recommend people do it that way. I say keep your idea private, confidential, make your prototype, your demo video, and let's submit it to companies in a confidential, private way. And what that does for the company is it makes your idea more valuable also, because it allows them to get a little bit of a head start. Now, this is more important in some industries than others. Some other industries are going to want you to have some market viability. They might want you already on the market, but you're in the market in more of a under the radar kind of way. You're showing proof of concept because you have product sales, but you're not so widely publicly known that competitors are going to knock you off. It's the sweet spot of under the radar, showing product concept viability, but not so much that you get knocked off. The prototypes, the molds, manufacturing, research, marketing, all those other expenses people have put in, all good things to do, but not necessarily at the beginning. So there's a thing, I now call it the hole of failure. And the thing about this is, and I'll say more about that in a minute. I know this is like the fourth time I said that, so I'm gonna try not to say that line anymore. Let's go over to how you should do it. This is my proprietary, it's not my proprietary, there's probably other people that have the steps. These are the sequence that I recommend. I recommend you do a lot of Google research. Look at your keywords. And when you're doing your Google research, you're not only looking for products out there that are similar to yours, you're looking for products that have good marketing behind them, that are selling a feature or an aspect of your product. And how can you borrow that marketing to make your product sound more appealing? The other thing about research is I always go into Google. I do a Google search and then I go to images. You know how you, at the top of Google, you've got your search, you've got videos, you have images, you have news, different little aspects of Google to search. Go to images, because what that shows you is a whole bunch of pictures, and it's easy to scan page by page and just look through those pictures to see if one of those ideas seems like yours. If you see something that does seem like yours, you want to drill into it, and you want to look at what are the keywords being used to describe it. Are the features and the benefits similar? Is there language around those that you can improve upon, or that you can borrow, or that can make better? And this is all stuff you're kind of putting together for your own sell sheet that you're going to need down the road when you want to get people involved. You're also going to look at who is selling the product. If you see products that solve the same problem as your product, and they're one of many products on a big web page, that's a major company that's selling a lot of products, and that this is one of them. So you want to take a look at that, and this starts to make you think, are there already products like this in the market? Should I not waste any more time? Are they already ahead of me? Or is my product uniquely different? Is it solving the problem in a better way? Is there a way that I can gain market share from them if I could get a company to support my product? And do I have a place? Is it worth the time and effort to fight that fight? If you find a product that is a single product on a website all its own, that is almost always an inventor just like you. They're just farther along, and they have one website dedicated to one product because they're pitching that particular product. Often they're trying to sell it. They bought the boatload initial product, and they're just trying to make a go of it. So keep in mind that. So what I say is do that research, and then make yourself a good prototype. After you've looked at what else is out there, come up with some unique features to your product that you think would be really meaningful, things that would not be too hard to make, not be too costly to make, but would also provide a significant value or benefit to the user over what's already out there. Or if nothing's out there, then you're providing a benefit. And think about the benefit. Is it a benefit that people are willing to pay to receive? Because we know from looking at different products that have not succeeded, some products are solving a problem, but unfortunately consumers have said, we will not pay to solve that problem. So we recognize it's a problem. We won't pay to solve it. If you happen to hit on one of those, it's just not going to be a successful rollout. And so, really think to yourself soberly, think, is this a really a benefit to consumers? Is it something they can be of value to them? You can make a cardboard prototype with duct tape if you have to. The better the prototype, the better chance somebody's going to be interested. So if you have access to 3D printing, that would be great. And this is another reason why I'm encouraging you to help Celeste grow this group, because the more people that come into your group, the more people geographically positioned, there's going to be people with 3D printers. There are going to be people with good marketing services. Some people are better at different things. You can really leverage the power of the people if you can grow your group. So you want to encourage business people and inventors to come to the group. So you want to be able to make the best prototype you can. And that's going to show off your product well. You want to also make a demo video, and that's the 2-minute or 1-minute quick demo video that's going to gain interest from somebody like me or someone else that can help you move your product along. At that point, there's going to be some testing. And this is why on the slide there, I put do the research, the prototype, the demo beforehand. Another step in there that I would say is develop your hit list of potential prospects. That's a critical step. I don't have that as a little cog in that funnel, but I'm going to add it. So research 1, prototype 2, demo video 3. Number 4 is you're going to develop a list of people that might want to license your product. So as you're looking at the competitors there, if you see that company and it's one product on a whole bunch of other products, you see it's a company, that is not a competitor. That is now a prospect if you want to license it to them. So write that company, that manufacturer's name down. Now, please do not confuse a retailer with a manufacturer. This is another big mistake people make is they think, oh, Home Depot is going to license my product. No, they're probably not. Home Depot buys finished goods from manufacturers. They don't license products. They're a seller. They're not a maker. And so you need to find, if you go into any local store that you have there in Johannesburg, any store, you go into it, look at the section of the store where you think your product would be, and look at the companies selling products in that section of the store. Physically take the product off the shelf. On the back, it'll say the manufacturer. That's your prospect, that manufacturer. So you want to take that, and then you want to find a list of competitors to them, because these are companies making product in the category that you have an idea. Those are your prospects. You can get to them using LinkedIn. There's a variety of other ways. We can cover that on a separate talk if you want, but that's your step 4, is to build that list. Now, keep in mind, that's a lot of steps. Now, you haven't patented it yet. Patent is step 5. All right. So what I'm saying to you is a lot of people are pitching, doing a provisional patent nowadays, which I like the provisional patent because it's less expensive. But the problem with it is you start a time clock. You start a 12-month time clock. And why in the world would you want to start a time clock on yourself that requires you to license your product in 12 months or to file an additional utility patent, which is more money? Why would you want to start that time clock on yourself if you don't have steps 1, 2, 3, 4 already done? Because think about it. I mean, if you file a patent, congratulations, you have a patent number now. But what are you going to send them? Who are you going to send them? Are they even interested in what you send? Do you even know who to send to? All that stuff takes months of time to do. And so what I'm saying is get your research done, figure your sell sheet out, do your prototype, make your demo video, go ahead and reach out to these companies, and I call right on in and find out who's the one that is even interested in licensing a product. And then I can talk to a person and not tell them my idea. I can talk to them and say, hey, do you accept ideas from product developers and innovators? And if they say no, you're not going to change their mind. Just thank them and move on. If they say yes or maybe, then you want to find out what is the process already and who's involved in that. If you can get names, if you can get emails, if you can get phone numbers, gather as much information as you can. You still haven't told them your idea. You're just trying to call in. You don't even have a patent yet. And so that's what I recommend you do. And then if you do file a provisional, then The minute you file that provisional, literally the second that you have that number and you are confirmed in the patent system, you get to work prospecting. That's what I recommend you do. And then a company is going to test it. So you can see my process there, and I think there's clarity on that. If you want to talk more, the only time I ever ask you for money is if you do a deep dive invention consult. You can pay me $50 and I'll spend 30 minutes with you and I'll give you all the direction you need. That's the only time I'll ever ask you for money. After that, I'm trying to help make money for both of us. And I'll say more about that later. I'm all about protecting your money. Be very careful how you spend it. You need to guard your money like a junkyard dog. You only have limited resources. Listen up. I see big companies blow $500,000 to $2 million in 2 years of time on a product that fails. They can do that. They've got the cash flow to do it, and they've got the distribution channel and got all the resources to do that. You, as an independent inventor, cannot make that kind of mistake. It's your kid's college, it's debt on your credit card, it's a second mortgage on your house. It is not worth it. And so, I know what it feels like to put money on debt into a product because I believed so starry-eyed that it was going to be successful, only to find out that it took a lot longer and was a lot harder than anyone could ever imagine. And so, every now and then there are people that just don't, they just hit it easy and lucky, and great for them. But for the vast majority, there's a little bit of a learning curve that goes on. So I'm telling you, do not blow your money unless you're absolutely certain that it's the right thing to do. So you basically have, in the inventor community, you have inventors, that think they know more than other people, and they're willing to sell their advice to you as some kind of an expert, and they want you to pay them for that advice. Maybe it's good, maybe it's not, I don't know. Then you have service providers, and these are people that want to sell you a service. They want to sell you a website. They want to sell you a demo video. They want to sell you coaching services. They want to sell you prototyping services, marketing services, patenting services, legal advice. These are all things that you need, and it might be a good idea to spend money on them. Just make sure that if you're going to spend money on them, you know exactly what you're going to get, and you make sure you get that. And I usually, whenever I'm going to buy something from a service provider, I always want to get 3 quotes. I want to get 3 quotes, and I want to know what my options are, and then I'm going to pick the best service provider, hoping to get what they claimed they would deliver. That's what I want to do. So just know that service providers, they don't have a vested interest to tell you your idea is not good. They don't, because they're selling something. And so make sure that if you're going to buy it, you're not just happy that someone likes your idea and you're willing to give them money, because, it's easy to like your idea and take your money. It's much harder to tell you, I don't know if this idea is going to work. You might want to really rethink it. You might want to get some other counsel. You might want to consider some of these roadblocks. Keep that in mind. So guard your money like a junkyard dog. You're going to have to spend some money to make money. That is true. But you want to make sure that you spend it wisely and you spend it at the right time. Save it. Okay. Submission assets. When you're going to submit your product, I need to look at the time. I think I'm getting close to not being out of time. I want to stop myself now, and then maybe I'll come back if I have time. Okay, I'm back. Your submission assets are going to be your prototype, your demo video. This is what you're going to submit. You don't want to send a large video file to anybody. You want to send a link to a posted video. I like YouTube on unlisted. There's 3 settings on YouTube. There's public, private, and unlisted. I like to do the unlisted, not the private, because that's only you, not the public. We don't want the public knowing, but the unlisted, only the people you give the link to, and that shows you the view count. So I really like that. I'm moving quickly on some of this. Submitting your product line, you're submitting your product ideas. Just always put the product name in the subject line. A lot of people don't do that. The hole of failure. This is where, okay, so you'll say you're submitting your product idea to companies and they're telling you no. Sometimes they're not going to contact you at all, but if they do contact you and have the courtesy to tell you no and engage with you, you want to find out some information. Remember I said, big companies test product all the time that fail. I call it the hole of failure. If a large company tested a product and it didn't sell, then guess what? They didn't file a patent on that. And so it's not going to come up in a patent search. If a big company spent a lot of money on a product and it failed, guess what? It's not selling on the market anywhere. They didn't make it. And so the only way that you're going to find out about the hole of failure is through talking to people that work at the companies that make the products in the same category that you're trying to sell. And these are the people that are telling you no, they're not going to license your idea. So when you're dialing for dollars and you're trying to make connections to license your product, don't get discouraged when someone tells you no. You want to thank them for being honest with you. That's what you should do. Don't try to sell them on the product. They've already said no. What you want to do is you want to talk to them and say, hey, thanks a lot for talking to me. I really appreciate that. Could you give me some insight? Have you ever seen products like this similar? Has your company ever tested something like this that didn't do so well? And just tell them, say, I'd really appreciate you helping me out with that information. And if you can give them a chance to talk and tell you that story of what they experienced, that's going to be very eye-opening for you. How similar was that product? Why did it fail? What did they surmise happened with it? Was it the product? Was it the timing? What was it? So you want to gather that information. This is critical data. And this is when you have to start asking yourself, if their product that they tested was extremely similar to my product, my idea, and they failed, is it possible that I'm going to fail too? I mean, not necessarily, because timing is everything. And sometimes people just get it wrong. So I'm not saying it will. I'm just saying I'm into sober-minded thinking. And if somebody, big company, put a bunch of money and a bunch of time in a product, and that's their business already, they have distribution, they know the competitors, and it failed, then am I really going to have enough gas to get that thing out in the market and get people to buy it? Maybe things change, market conditions change, economic conditions change, timing changes. So it's absolutely possible that it could. I just am saying, think about it soberly, and I wouldn't be dropping a lot of extra money into it unless I really felt like it was going to make it. If I really feel like it's going to make it, then I'm absolutely going to drop some money into it. And I'm going to put some time into it too. And I'm going to push that boulder up the hill until I'm at the top of that hill. And I'm going to wait for a big bunch of cash to come down on me. So whenever you really believe it's the effort and you have the sober-minded information to tell you that you probably do have something here, you're going to work your butt off to make it happen. You're going to connect with people you trust that can help, that aren't going to charge you a bunch of money for stuff you don't need. And you are going to push that ball up the hill and you're going to make it. That's what you're going to do. That's my encouragement to you. All right, market testing, big companies, little companies, everybody's going to do their own form of testing. That is a stage in the licensing agreement process that will happen. Every company has their own market testing. Whenever you find that you're having a good conversation with somebody that does want to license your product, I always like to ask them, what is your market testing process? Usually they know. You can do it. Okay, rollout testing, I'm going to pass through that. Manufacturing challenges. If you do want to manufacture on your own, it's really easy to do nowadays. You can get a manufacturer easily. Manufacturers, though, here's what I want you to keep in mind. Manufacturers, they make money on volume. They want to sell a bunch of them, and they want the cost per unit to be low, right? So whenever you are coming up with your initial idea, that's what you think you want too. What I'm telling you is that's not what you want initially. You do not want to buy a bunch of product, because what's going to happen is you're going to start selling your product, and then people are going to give you feedback on the product, and they're going to say, oh, I love it. I love everything about it, except for you've got it in blue, and I really wish it were green. But guess what? You've got a whole bunch of blue. And so guess what you're selling? Blue. And the more you sell blue, when customers say, hey, I love it. I love everything about it. I just wish it was green. You're going to think, gosh, I wish I had green, but I don't have any cash because I just bought a bunch of blue. So what I'm telling you is get the smallest quantity possible, even though your unit cost is going to be higher. What that's going to do is you burn through. If you can't sell that little small amount that you just bought, then what are you doing buying a bigger amount anyway? And you're going to have a higher cost of goods, means your sales price is going to be higher. You're going to practice and get good at selling your product at a higher price point. guess what? Isn't it better to sell your product at a higher price point? Can always come down, can't go up. We all know that's true. So what I'm saying is get it selling at a higher price point, create enough value that people will buy it at a higher price point, buy a smaller quantity. Because when you get that feedback, I wish it were this, that, or the other. And some of that feedback you think, nah, and other of that feedback you think, yeah, I really need to incorporate those changes. Consumers know what they're talking about. They know what they like. Those are good changes. Get those changes incorporated. Now you have cash because you just sold these units at a profit, at a bigger profit. And now you have cash to go buy another amount and maybe pocket a little bit. So that's my manufacturing information. Licensing and royalties. The thing about royalties is inventors always get caught up on the royalty rate. Like, is it 3%? And 3% is not as good as 10%. And 5% is not as good as 10%, and so on. And I'm saying that is not the right math formula. A royalty is a percentage of volume. So it doesn't really matter if you get a 1% royalty, if you get it, or if you get a 12% royalty. That doesn't matter to me. I don't think you're a better inventor or a worse inventor because you got a 1% royalty or a 12% in royalty. You know, it makes me think you're a good inventor and good business person is if you made more money. That's what I think makes you a better business person. So if you got a 1% royalty and you made a bunch of money, let's say you made $330,000, you got a 5% royalty and you made $50,000, who's the better inventor? Who's the better business person? What's the better product? You know, I think the cash talks. I am very focused on making money. I want to make good business decisions. And part of that is understanding the math of royalties. So if for example, you have an $11 wholesale and you got a 3% royalty on that, but the company was going to sell 2 to 4 million units, that would be $330,000 for every 1 million units sold. Not bad. Some industries, they're going to blow that product out and they might sell 2 to 4 million pieces a year. Other industries, if they sold 50,000 pieces a year, that would be good. So that's another thing you need to figure out is what arena are you playing in? Are you playing in just a small stage at a bar somewhere? Or are you at the main soccer field or the main football field, the main arena, the big show? Where are you at? And it's important to know that because the volume of sales is what the percentage should be figured off of, not just arbitrarily saying I want a 1% or 12%. So just think about that. Royalty options. I think the best royalty option is to have your royalty rate be off of the wholesale value. So what I'm seeing is on the right-hand side here, so licensing profits on sales, your revenue minus your cost of goods equals your gross profit, right? There's revenue on direct-to-consumer, revenue on wholesale. I think it's best to put the royalty rate as a percentage of wholesale or direct-to-consumer goods. That's easy math and it's accounting principles that are easily auditable. What I see happening in a couple of cases, and just the last couple of deals in particular, I had manufacturers that wanted to pay what's called a net profit. And this is something that I pay attention to because I get inventors that call all the time. They'll do the deep dive and they'll start out by telling me that they were offered a 30% royalty. That's what they'll say. Immediately, I know that they don't know what they're doing because they're not going to get a 30% royalty. What's happening is somebody's telling them that they're going to get a 30% net profit. And they're using the term net profit and confusing it with the term royalty. And so my other advice to you is know your business terms because net profit is a different accounting term than royalty. Net profit comes off the net profit. It's an income statement. So if you've got revenue, you got less your cost of goods equals your gross profit. And then there's expenses that come after the gross profit, expenses with facility, with employee salaries, marketing, and other kinds of expenses. And that equals a net profit. So often you'll hear, like in the States, we say, oh, you don't want to make profit because you don't want to pay taxes. All right. So think about it. If I'm a manufacturer and I'm going to pay you 30% of my net profit as what you think is a royalty, is money that you're going to get for your product. And then all of a sudden, do you control my facility costs? No. Do you control my employee salaries? No. Do you control my marketing costs? No. So if I have very little net profit, what's 30% of very little? Very little. Whereas on the other side, if I have a wholesale number is tangible sales. That's my revenue, and less my cost of goods equals my gross profit. On the income side, my revenue is a tangible number. I sold X units for X amount of revenue. That's easy to do, like a 2 or a 5 to 7 or a 10% royalty. And it's easy to audit that math and to have it be true. Those are the best agreements. And so when I'm looking for a licensing agreement partner, I'm trying to figure out, are they legit? Are they really wanting to have a win-win where we both win and I get paid and they get paid? Or maybe they just haven't worked with inventors and they don't know. And that was the case with one of the inventors, the manufacturers I was working with, that offered a 30% net profit deal because they really thought they were doing the right thing by the inventor. And so I had to, because they'd never really worked with inventors and they never had really done it before, and they really thought they were doing a good service. And I said to the gentleman, I said, listen, I know your heart is in the right place and you're trying to do the right thing by this inventor. But what's going to happen is after 2 years go by, you're the one spending all the money. You're funding that cash flow problem that I talked about earlier. You're funding all the cost of goods. You're funding the marketing. You've got people that you've hired to do this job. Some of them are good and some of them are not. Sometimes you lose money. Sometimes you don't. On the people, you've got marketing expense. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't. You're taking all the cash risk. And after like 2 years of paying me 30% for sitting at home and on the beach, you're going to be hating me. And you're going to start not wanting to pay me that 30% anymore because you're not going to think it's fair that I get 30% when you're doing all the work and spending all the money. And guess what? It's not fair. And so it's not going to work. You're not going to want it to work. And so you're going to start squeezing me out. That's what you're going to do. You're going to squeeze me out because you're going to be sick of it. And I don't want that to happen because I want us to be partners for the long haul. I'm a long-term relationship woman. I've been married 36 years. I've lived in the same house for, 29, 31 years, something like that. It's like I'm a long-term person. I'm a stayer. Some of my best friends are from kindergarten. I want to know you for a long time. I'm not a short-term kind of person. So I want a win-win relationship. And that's what most good manufacturers, that's what they want too. They want a win-win relationship. They want to pay you what you're due. They don't want to overpay you. They will underpay you if they can, but they don't want to steal your idea. They don't want to rip you off. Most of them don't. They really don't. They just want to make money. Now, there's always some bad eggs in the group, but most of them do want to pay you what you should be paid. Most of the time, the inventors have a little bit of an overinflated idea of what they should get. And that's a conversation for another day. Okay, royalty notes. The greater the sales volume or units sold, the lower the royalty rate's going to be because the more money it costs to sell more units, so you're going to get a lower percentage, but it's still going to be a lot of volume. The more expensive the startup costs, the lower the royalty rate will be. If they got to put in this one deal I did, the guy had to put in $2 million and these expensive steel molds. And so the royalty rate's going to be a little bit lower in that case because he's got high startup costs. More niche the product is, the higher the royalty rate, but the lower the volume. So if it's a niche thing, it's like only for people that fish or only for people that play baseball or only people that, ride horses, then it's going to be a niche product with a higher royalty rate. But those products don't sell as many units generally as something that's more of a mass market, everybody can use it kind of product. So the volume will be a little lower. Products that have a life cycle. This is something to keep in mind. These royalty rates don't keep going forever. We all love to count the cash when we have it, but keep in mind the cash does not keep coming forever. Products have a life cycle. There's a patent end. Products sometime end before the patent, sometimes they end after the product. After the patent, there's a life cycle. At some point, the royalty rates are going to dry up. There's usually a bell curve. It starts slow and then it builds, it gets high, and then it goes down again. It's a bell curve. And what I find is a lot of people, they're all, sad at the beginning, and then they start spending way too much money. And then all of a sudden it's up here at the top and they're blowing money like crazy because they've never had it before. And then they're poor. And then all of a sudden the royalty rates dry up. I'm saying find some good investment counseling, put your money and your assets into something that's lasting. I'm not going to talk about acquisitions right now. Why I'm here is I want to earn your trust. I want to be involved in the next big deal. I'm cherry picking. Honestly, I've been doing this for a long time. I have a lot of contacts. Some things I can help with, some things I can't. I'm going to be really direct with you and tell you if I can help or not. If I can help, then I want a percentage of the royalty. And so I'm never going to ask you for cash beyond a short $50 consultation fee. And I'm going to be clear about helping you there. I'm going to be clear about what I think you should do. If you don't want to ever talk to me again, that's fine. If you want to have more meetings, you can. But generally, people just do one because I tell you where to go really clearly, give you some candid advice. And if I can help, if you serve me up something that I think is great winning product, and I've got people that can help take it further, then I absolutely want to be a part of that. I'll never ask you for any other money. I'll negotiate everything. Sometimes I can even pay for the patents with some different partners that I have, not always, but sometimes. And there shouldn't be a lot of additional cost other than you're responsible for the prototype and the demo video. And you do need to pitch it some places also, and then I'll pitch it some places, and I'll talk to you all about that as we go forward. But that's really what I want, is I just want to be involved in good people that I like and good products that I think can make money. I do want to give back, and I would like to help support your group in some ways. One is I really hope that I can come to South Africa next April 2023. My son got married to a woman that lives in Kenya. I visited Kenya just 4 months ago, went on a wonderful safari on with the wildebeest migration. It was absolutely spectacular. And I would like to come to Johannesburg and speak to your group in person, get to know you better. I would like to bring my son and his wife from Kenya to have a nice vacation in Johannesburg while we're there. And hopefully that can work out. So let's see. You build your group and get yourself a big bunch of people there, of entrepreneurs and investors and manufacturers and retailers and anybody in Johannesburg, South Africa that wants to get the country, up and going and innovating and selling good product. Invite them and get them to come. Get creative people there, and let's do something. I'd like to help. I really would like to help you guys. There's something about the deep dive, and that's really the end of it. I'm glad I got to talk to you. Hopefully I'm getting on the phone now live and we can talk. If not, then that means it hasn't been a good report with my dad, and appreciate your prayers. Thanks.